This team of astronauts is headed to Jupiter's moon Europa because they think there are single-celled organisms there. But what they are going to find is way worse. A team of astronauts aboard a spaceship is headed to Europa, a moon of Jupiter, when suddenly, a radiation spike of some kind from the sun destroys their communication with Earth. This was 16 months ago, and no one has heard from them since. In the present day, Dr. Samantha Unger, the lead planner of the Europa mission, is speaking in a documentary that is about to uncover the truth of what happened, as the lost communications of 16 months have finally come through. We begin with the footage of the ship 24 hours after the communications blackout, and the team of astronauts is mourning the loss of someone named James and deciding whether to go ahead with the mission now that they have no contact with Earth. At this point, they have been traveling in space for 6 months. In addition to James, the team includes William, Andre, Rosa, Katya, and Daniel. Rosa is making a video diary on the ship, and she says that after they lost James, the excitement of going farther into space than any human before faded. The environment on the ship is quiet and sad. We skip to month 7, and the environment hasn't changed much. Andre is not speaking to anyone, and Katya is concerned. At month 8, the ship can finally see Jupiter and its moons, but that still doesn't do much to lift their spirits. Andre has not been sleeping at all for some reason, and Daniel is concerned. We go back to the beginning of the mission. Dr. Samantha and a panel of her colleagues hold a press conference to answer questions. They reveal that below the ice surface of Europa, lakes of water and heat signatures of thermal vents have been discovered, which means that it's highly likely there is unicellular life there. Dr. Samantha says they are choosing to send humans on the mission as opposed to probes because they will only get one shot at this, and humans can improvise and fight against impossible cosmic odds with strength. The mission launches off the ground and reaches into space, and the astronauts settle into their new home. James is making a video on his private camera for his son back on Earth. He has a very happy-go-lucky attitude and keeps the environment on the ship cheerful. James reveals in his video that the living modules of the ship spin around and have artificial gravity, while the rest of the ship has astronauts floating around in zero. James is the engineer on board, and if anything breaks, it's his responsibility to fix it. Rosa gets the cameras all over the ship functioning and in sync with mission control back on Earth. Over the next 6 months, the crew shares meals, jokes around, and builds a very homely environment for themselves on board. The documentary shows pre-launch interviews of all the astronauts talking about why they want to go on this mission. William says the mission will prove to humanity once again that they can still do impossible things. Daniel says wanting to explore extreme environments is the reason he became an astronaut. Katya is a specialist in marine biology and oceanography. She says that since life on Earth began in the ocean, if they find life on Europa, it would be like looking back in time, and she is incredibly fascinated with that idea. It's almost romantic to her. James remembers seeing Neil Armstrong as a kid and knowing instantly that he wants to be an astronaut more than anything. Rosa says she just wants to go faster and farther than anyone has ever gone before in the history of mankind. Lastly, Andre talks about how he's already spent 349 days in space, so he's a veteran astronaut, but he still dreads facing space food again, which he hates. We skip forward to month 19 of the mission, and the ship is nearing Jupiter now. William and Daniel express their concerns to Andre over the fact that he's still not sleeping. Andre asks them what he's supposed to do, and neither of them has an answer. Skip to month 21, and the ship has cleared Jupiter's gravity and approached Europa. The crew gets inside a landing module and prepares to descend to the surface of the moon. As they are about to land, their trajectory is disrupted because a thermal vent is ejecting at their landing site, so they have to land a few hundred meters away from their initial target. This causes trouble for the crew because the data they came to collect is below the ice at the original landing site, not where they have landed now. They decide to drill into the ice and send in an underwater probe that can swim toward where they need to collect data. Meanwhile, Katya sits awestruck and gazes at the beautiful surface of Europa through the landing module's window. They start drilling, and as they do, massive quakes start occurring, rattling the entire landing module. Initially, they think it's the ice shifting beneath them, but the quakes are too strong for it to be that. Andre is working in his quarters when there is some radiation interference in his cameras, and at the same time he notices a light moving outside from his window. He informs the rest of the crew about what he saw. They have a conversation about it, and Katya thinks the light could be the bioluminescence of some life form. But Daniel is of the opinion that Andre hasn't slept in so long that he could be seeing things. They finally drill deep enough to reach the water and they send a probe into it. The probe swims in the water as the crew watches in awe. After swimming around for a while, the probe's microphone picks up a weird sound and Katya remarks that it sounds almost like a whale call. Daniel tells her to not be so presumptuous and says it's probably reverberations in the water currents. Just then, there is radiation interference in the probe's camera like before from Andre's quarters. Katya says it's strange because the radiation is coming from below, not above. They turn the probe camera downward, and after a few seconds of dark, a bright light emerges and the probe goes offline. The team is shocked, and they have no idea what just happened. With the probe gone, they now have no way to reach their original landing site to collect samples, but Katya says that she will walk out and do it. The entire crew is opposed to it because of the freezing temperatures and the strong radiation from Jupiter that could kill Katya. She says that the radiation varies and right now it's low enough for her to go out. A heated argument ensues. We jump back to month 6 of the voyage. James has lost some of his happy-go-lucky attitude as he is beginning to miss his son. He and Daniel have a heartfelt conversation about it. Just then, a massive solar storm occurs and the radiation spike damages the ship's communication system, breaking their contact with Earth. Andre and James put on their spacesuits and decide to go outside the ship to repair the communication hardware of the ship. The panel of the communication hardware is stuck, and Andre tries to force it open, but he rips his glove in the process. Andre is now leaking oxygen, and William orders James to get him back in the ship's airlock. James drags Andre to the airlock, but as they are about to enter, Andre notices that James's suit is covered in hydrazine, a toxic chemical that he probably picked up while conducting the repair. If he comes inside now, he will contaminate the entire ship's air. Andre is almost out of oxygen, but he tells James that he will get James out of the suit and into the airlock in a matter of minutes, and the maneuver is survivable. James recognizes that Andre will run out of oxygen trying to pull this off, so he pushes Andre inside. In the panic, James forgot that he is not tethered to the ship, and now he is floating off into space. The crew can do nothing except watch as Andre floats away from them. He tells them he loves them over the radio and sends the same message to his family back on Earth. He thanks Andre for trying to save his life even when he was in danger himself. He floats away and soon goes out of sight and the range of the radio. The crew mourns and Andre wakes up and screams at what just happened. This was the reason why he hasn't been able to sleep. We jump back to when the crew is arguing about whether or not Katya should go out. They put it to a vote. William and Andre vote no, but Katya, Daniel, and Rosa vote yes, and Katya prepares to head out. Katya puts on her spacesuit and steps outside of the ship. She is awestruck by the beauty of the landscape and fails to find words to describe it. She collects a couple of ice samples with nothing in them, but after a while, she finally finds one that holds unicellular organisms like algae inside. After this successful discovery, they all congratulate one another, and William tells Katya to come back to the ship. Katya's helmet experiences radiation interference, and just then she sees a light moving under the ice similar to what Andre saw. Katya moves forward to investigate, and the light comes right under her. Just then, the ice cracks, and Katya falls into the ice and into the water right below it. The last thing they see from her helmet feed is a horrified Katya looking at some light coming toward her. Rosa says they need to investigate whatever creature killed Katya, but Andre says if they don't leave and go back home now, no one on Earth will ever know what they have discovered here, and the mission will be a waste. The rest of the team agrees, and they prepare for the launch. As they try to launch off of the surface of Europa, one of their engines malfunctions due to a fuel line being frozen from the low temperature. They start dropping back down at full speed. William has the idea of releasing the module's water shield to reduce the impact, but he gets out of his seat to do this, and when the module does impact, William falls freely and dies. The rest of the crew is knocked out too, and the ship systems are thoroughly damaged. Rosa wakes and powers the ship up. She wakes up Daniel and Andre, and they assess the situation. The module is losing both oxygen and heat slowly, and Andre says their only shot is going outside and fixing the frozen fuel line, which is a two-man job. Daniel and Andre put on spacesuits and prepare to go outside. Daniel steps out first, and his helmet camera experiences the same radiation interference. The moving light appears again, and the ice cracks, and Daniel falls into the water. He disappears without a trace. Andre tells Rosa that the only thing they can do now is try to fix the communication hardware using other resources that they don't need anymore because they won't be going home. They have to send all this data to Earth so that this entire mission is not a waste. Andre gets to work on the repairs while Rosa backs up all the data. Meanwhile, the light under the ice is moving beneath Andre. They manage to get the communications back up and send all the data to Earth. This is how the lost communications of 16 months finally made it back to Earth for the documentary. More and more lights appear under the module, and the ice begins cracking. The module starts sinking, and Rosa hears one last scream from Andre before his connection blacks out. Rosa gets in her chair and puts on her seatbelt. The radiation interference is in all the cameras of the modules now. Rosa opens all the doors of the module, which allows the water to start filling in. Out of the water emerges a strange bioluminescent octopus-like creature, and it attacks the camera, ending the footage. We cut to Dr. Samantha, who points out that Rosa chose to open all the doors of the module in the last moments because she knew that data was being transferred to Earth now, and she knew that along with the water, the creature would enter the module as well. She did this to inform people back on Earth that they are not the only living creatures in the universe. Dr. Samantha says that the crew of the Europa mission changed the course of human history with their sacrifices, and they could not have achieved any greater success than this. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like our channel and subscribe if you enjoy content like this.